Hello friends, welcome back to my channel, and today we are back with another exciting tutorial. So this will be a great tutorial on Jenkins. So what we will do in this tutorial is how to push a Docker image to Docker Hub using a Jenkins pipeline. So what we will do is we'll be creating an automated Jenkins pipeline script where we can build our Docker images, and that image will be pushed to our Docker Hub. So the scenario would be like you or a developer who have a GitHub where they will be having their source code where you'll be creating your application. Like in this tutorial, we'll be using a Node.js app. So similar way, if you have a different app, you'll be keeping your source code on the GitHub or GitLab or any other source code repositories. And we will have a Jenkins master, and we'll also using a Docker machine, which is also another Linux machine, which will act as a Jenkins slave on which Docker is installed. And we'll also have a Docker hub. So the whole process will be you will be committing the changes into the GitHub of your application. So what will happen is using Jenkins, we will check out the code from the GitHub. So that code will be used in Jenkins for building your image. So we'll have a Docker file. Using the Docker file, we will be creating our Docker image. So we'll use Docker build command, and we'll be creating a Docker image, and that Docker image will be pushed to the Docker hub using our Jenkins pipeline. So we'll have Docker logging happening there and pushing the image to the Docker hub. So we'll have our version of our application image in the Docker hub, so which can be used to download it later point, and you can build your containers and all those things. But we'll be stopping until the phase of Docker hub, and we'll log out from the Docker hub. So the steps what we discuss is we will clone the Node.js project from GitHub and build the Docker image using Docker build command, and we'll log into the Docker hub, and we will push the image to Docker hub, and then we'll log out from the Docker hub. So these are the complete step-by-step phases. So we'll have 5 stages in the pipeline. So each stage will have its actions. So we'll be able to see what the end, each phases get completed, and we'll have this image pushed into the Docker hub. So some of the prerequisites for this tutorial is we are not going to show you how to set up a Jenkins master. So you should have a Jenkins master. If you don't know how to do that, I will link the video for that in my video description for this. So I have already created videos for how to set up Jenkins master, Jenkins slave, all those things. So you can refer my videos in this video description. So you need a Jenkins master, then you also need a Jenkins slave where we have Docker installed. So we have Docker set up as a Jenkins slave separately. Why? Because I'm running Jenkins master as a Docker container. If you are going to use the same machine where you're not going to run as a Docker container, so you can have the same machine, so you may not need a Jenkins slave setup. And you also need a Docker hub account where you need to log in and upload the image, right? So you need that Docker hub account where we have to create an authentication key, and we'll use that to connect. And you also need a Node.js sample app, or you can use any other app as well, but you have to modify your Docker file according to that. So that's all the basic concept. Now we will get into the actual demo. So before I getting into the demo, I would request you if you have not subscribed to my channel, or if you are new to my channel, kindly click on the subscribe button, and also like this videos, share and comment. So I have my application node app underscore test, where I have the index.js, package.js, there is a test file as well. I don't have to use the test at this point. This is more of building the image, but we'll be using this for in the upcoming tutorial how to deploy, test, and doing all those things with Node.js. And I have also a Docker file, and you can create a Jenkins file here, and you can put the pipeline here itself, so that it can act as the pipeline from here. But I will show it in the Jenkins first, then probably you can use that into the your GitHub repository as well. It's directly as a Jenkins file. Now moving on to the Docker hub, I have logged into the Docker hub, and if you see my contents, I don't have any repositories, and I also don't have any images pushed here. Okay, and I have a Jenkins instance running, And if I go to manage Jenkins and go into manage nodes, you can see there is a node called Linux, and this is a Docker node, so where I'll be using that to run the Docker build commands and all those things. Now if I go back, this is this already run setup for this. So how our whole pipeline would be looking like this. Like we'll have 5 stages where we'll be cloning, building, login, push and declare, or post action build where we'll be logging out. Okay, so we are going to create this. So before creating that, what we require is I need to create an key. You can use your user ID and password directly as well from Docker Hub, but I prefer, like, I go to security and I create an access token. So you can click on new token and you can create a token. So you will be getting a token from Docker Hub. So, and that I will go to Docker manage credentials and I will add it here. Okay, so you can see I have one for Docker Hub, right? So this is Docker Hub. So this one is something old. I will delete it, so I don't need it. Yep, this is for default Jenkins ID, so I don't need that. I will delete that. Okay, so this is for Docker Hub. So you can see I have already created one for Docker Hub. So you can create something like simply you can let me see. You can go to add credentials and you'll be able to get this information like username, password, ID, description. So you can enter the username for your Docker Hub, and the password you can give the access token, and you can give a name here. So you'll be getting something added up on the credential. Okay, and I have used Jenkins slave, so I have used an account to authenticate the Jenkins slave as well. So if you don't know how to set up Jenkins slave, as I said, I have a separate video on that, how to set up Jenkins slave in Linux and Windows. Okay, so what I will do is I will start with the creation of a new project, and I will select pipeline, and I will give a name for the Jenkins job. Okay, and I will click on pipeline and click on OK. So we should be in this screen. Now we have to go to the pipeline script, so we have to write this pipeline. So I will use Visual Studio Code, and I will show you the script, and then we will copy that into here. So before I get into the pipeline script, I just want to show you the Docker file. This also had I had a separate videos on how to set up build a Docker image from Node.js. So this is the Docker file where we are using the Node latest, and we are setting the work directory, and we are copying the package.json file to this work directory, and we are running the npm install to install all dependencies and packages. Then we'll be copying that to the directory, and we'll be exposing the port 3000, which will be used to connect, and we are using the node index.js as the start. So that's the overall thing for the Docker file. Now if I go to the pipeline script, you can see I'm starting with the agent, and I'm using the label as Linux because that's how I have set up my Linux slave. Now what we require is we need the credential for Docker Hub. So I'm going to use an environmental variable Docker Hub credential equal to credentials, and I'm going to take this from Docker Hub. So this name comes from the Docker. We have set for example, let me show you. Sorry, not here. Jenkins credential. Now you can see this name has to be correct. If you don't give I have given the name as Docker Hub. That's why I'm using Docker Hub. If you are using a different name, you should give that here. Okay, the credential on what name you have saved it. Now the first stage, what we are going to use is called git clone. So I'm going to clone the project node app._test git. So this is the public project, so I don't need to give any account for authentication here. If you are using a private, you'll have to edit it based on that. Then the next stage, I'm going to use build, and the steps is like I'm going to run docker build -t, These are default commands which you should be knowing about Docker. So I hope you know about all those things. If you don't know, you have to go through the Docker basic tutorial first. Then we have to give the name of your Docker Hub account. So this is my account. If it's yours, you have to change it to that. Otherwise, it will not be able to push it. So this is mandatory. Like you have to give the name of your account and slash the repository name or the image name you want to give. So I'm going to call it as node app underscore test, and I'm going to give it as latest. And the Docker file should be in the same folder, so it's going to be dot. So this will build this image, okay? And you can see Docker login. I'm going to use the credentials which we have stored, and I'm going to use Docker login, new credential user, and the password, right? So that will log into the Docker Hub, and then we have to push it. So the next step would be Docker push, and I'm going to use this image to that our Docker Hub. And at the end, in all cases, I'm going to log out from Docker. Okay, so this is a machine where I have set up my Jenkins. So if you see, like, the Jenkins is running as a Docker container. So if you don't know how to do that, or if you want to do it the Jenkins as a Docker container, you can use my tutorial on that. It's not mandatory that you have to run Jenkins as a Docker container. It was pretty simple to run a container and do that. So I have used the Docker container for Jenkins. Okay, so and if I go to Docker images, you can see I don't have an image for the Node.js test tab which we discussed. So we will see that it's getting created once we run the image. So let me copy this content, and I will go to the pipeline script. I'll put it here. Okay, so that should be good. So once we done that, we have to just go and save it, and I will run the build. So let me run the build, and let me expand this so you can see the steps, the console output. So you can see it's cloning the Git. It has first saved the credentials over here, right? Docker credentials. Now you can see it's cloning my GitHub. Now let's see the next stages. We'll have to wait and complete. If you don't have your image for Node.js in your Docker machine, it will start downloading the image. In case if it's already there, it will not. It will go proceed with the next step. Okay, so to build the Docker, you need the image. So now in my case, the image is already there, so it's not pulling the image. Otherwise it will take some time to pull the image. Now it has started the building the Docker app. So you can see it's doing the stages, right? Work directory, copying JSON, npm install, right? So yes, you can see it's proceeding. So it's completed that, you can see, right? Now it's logging into the Docker, and I think now it's pushing to the repository. So let's wait. Okay, so we can see it has logged in. Now it's pushing. So let's wait so you can see it's push. Yeah, let's see. Yep, it's almost completed. Great. So you can see it has completed the whole process. It has completed the push. It has logged out from Docker, and the final stage success. So what will be the output if you go to my machine? If I run Docker images, you can see there is a repository or image created, right? Node app test. Okay, it's about a minute ago. So that means the image is created. And if I go back to my Docker Hub, if I refresh, okay, I have to go to my content. Okay, you can see I have Docker tips for you node app test, right? So there is already one image uploaded now. So this was not there before, so you can see it has uploaded or pushed a minute ago, right? So it's a latest image, right? So that's the one which we just created, and we just pushed it to the Docker Hub. So you can see that's a pretty simple process, right? So we have now our first image available in Docker Hub. So benefit is like now if you want to create any app from this, you can you can create containers using this image. So it's not mandatory that you need to give latest. What you can do is you can use some variables like versioning. So every time when you want to test, you can use versioning the image number 1, 2, 3. Then you can keep pushing into Docker Hub, whichever version. So you can use that into your deployment as well. So we'll see about the deployment in the upcoming tutorial. So but if you see the whole process, it was pretty simple, right? So let me show you again. So you can see there are 5 stages now, right? Git clone, builds, login, push, and post action. So if I go back to the configure, you have this whole thing. So you can just copy this and you can put that into your repository as a Jenkins file as well. So I will upload the Jenkins file also into this link, and I will share this link for this project as well into the video description, so you can have a look there as well if you want to have any information on what this Jenkins file is about. So just to give a recap, like what we have is we have agent under which it's running, and we have environmental variable to copy the credential which we have set, and cloning the Git project, building using Docker build, and logging into the Docker Hub using Docker Hub credentials, and then we are pushing it to the Docker Hub using Docker push, and at the end it's a Docker logout. So it's a pretty simple process. It's not that complicated, but you just need to create this pipeline correctly. That's all. So that is all for this tutorial. I hope it's an informative tutorial for you. So I would request you to subscribe to my channel for more videos, and also click on the bell icon. So it will be very helpful, like you keep supporting using by subscribing and also sharing these videos, and also giving your comment and feedback. So thank you for watching.